Greetings and welcome to my hobby bench once again, and another episode of Engine Talk. But first I'd like to say, and this is episode 32, first I'd like to say that today, April 7th, Tuesday, 2026, very first day I run an engine. I didn't make a video though. It was just kind of a test run of a customer's engine just to get my feet wet, and it took place in my garage and was not super successful, only because of the fact that I really had very limited time to play with it. So, with that said, today is a beautiful sunny day, and it's probably quite cool out still. It's around 35 maybe. So, tomorrow is going to be a nice day. There's going to be rain in the morning, rain in the evening, but in between the rain tomorrow is going to be 64 degrees and sunny. So, plan on going out to the engine running site tomorrow and doing some actual engine runs, maybe troubleshooting if necessary, of this customer's engine, and it will be the first engine of the year. Will be an OS BX1 engine that I have been holding on to, waiting for the time to run it and see if I can repeat the issue that the customer was having and or remedy it if possible. With that said, let's go straight to the table and check out what we're going to talk about in today's Engine Talk episode. Okay, so today's Engine Talk episode features several things here that I want to talk about, and I'm not really sure where to start, but let's start with taking these items off and talk about these items. So, in my hand here is a Fox 25 RC25. It's a RC, and let me try and get this straight. Fox 25 BB RC, I believe, is the actual designation. This is one of three, well, one of two in this model and an older version 25 that I just purchased one of them, and the other two were given to me by that awesome gentleman. So I've got this here only because I want to show you a very striking similarity between the engine that's in this box, which just so happens to be an Enya engine, as the box indicates. This is an engine that was donated to me by a really good friend of mine, Jeremy, who it was donated to him from one of his friends. This is always awesome to have an Enya engine that's in the box. This is a 19X TV, and I think that means twin valve, throttle valve. Basically, that's their version of saying it's an RC engine. So let's look inside this box and check it out. So it comes with this beautiful Enya marketing literature. And I don't know that I have found an article, a review article, that tells me what the year time frame is of this engine, but we'll try to ascertain some of that. And this is a 40. Does it have the 19V? That's not. Let's see if it shows. It doesn't. This actually doesn't show the 19X, which is kind of interesting. So that, I don't know if this is actually the proper marketing literature that came with this engine, because it's not showing the 19X. But if we look inside here, we've got this beautiful Enya 19X. Now, one of the things that leads me to believe it's an older engine, obviously, probably maybe from the early 80s, I don't know, is that it's not drilled and tapped for a muffler. It was one of those ones when Enya was still putting strap-on mufflers on, which, I don't know. It's always nice to have an exhaust or a muffler with an engine, but darn it, Enya and many others, when you guys are making this transition from open exhaust to mufflers, why in the hell would you make it a strap-on? I mean, I don't know. It just seems like they always kind of mar up the side of the case, and they definitely detract from the looks of the engine. But this is a beautiful engine. I don't know how much runtime it's got on it. The bearings feel kind of notchy, but it's got really good compression. The throttle arm is frozen, which is not uncommon with Enya engines. I've yet to see too many used ones that, they freeze up pretty easily. Overall, this engine's in awesome condition. One of the things I noticed, though, with this exhaust, and Jeremy kind of alluded to some of these things, is that And I went on a discovery or a searching mission today to try to find a screw here for this side. So the first thing I noticed with this exhaust is that the very first hole here is gone. It's broken off, which means that makes this whole thing shorter, which means that if you're going to use it, you need to have a longer screw, even much longer than this, once you try to fit that around the side of the engine. Well, Jeremy had sent this with a short screw, and I was able to find another screw that threads into this, but it's a strange slotted screw, and the head is really big. So I was thinking that this was just going to be some standard metric screw, and it is not by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, it's not an M3, it's not an M4, and it's not a 632. Because I went to the hardware store and the hobby store trying to find screws that fit this thing, and I was unsuccessful. So unfortunately, what I decided I'm going to have to do is probably, this is the length I think I'm going to need. And this is a 632, so I bought a tap because I broke my 632 tap trying to extract a piston pin. And I'm just going to have to re-tap this because I believe this screw, and whoever did this is not stock. It's not stock by any means, and you wouldn't do this. They would use all metric hardware. I believe this is one of those, I can't remember the name of it, the British thread system. I can't recall what they're called, but that's what I believe that is. So it comes with the high-speed needle valve, or high-speed needle, and the nut here, and then it looks like another head shim, perhaps. The reason I have this Fox engine here is there haven't been too many engines that I've seen like this. I think maybe one of the Sportster series might be like this. It can be Sportster engine. Do you see any kind of a similarity between these two engines? This is the Fox, this is the engine, Enya. Well, I'm hoping that you notice a striking similarity in the design, in that you see these parting lines here. So these heads, this whole portion is what comes off on these engines. And what does that mean? Well, I'm not entirely sure all of the things it means, other than that you got really long screws here that you better not strip the head out of. But I also believe that if you go to disassemble this and to replace bearings in it, which both of these are going to get new bearings, I'm wondering if that means that there's actually a paper gasket. I can't say that I have ever disassembled one of these style engines before. I think I have, but it was just so many years ago, and I just don't recall off the top of my head. I don't know if there'd be a paper gasket in here or not. I've looked for gaskets, and I couldn't find anything. In fact, I ordered some new Fox BBRC paper gaskets for the rear, but this wasn't one that was offered. So I don't know. I don't know if... that's the only reason I got that Fox engine out there, is because I thought it was interesting that those two have striking similarities in the way the engine heads are designed. So anyway, thank you very much, Jeremy, for the donation to the channel. That's going to be a fun one to run, as is this Fox 25, because I ran a Fox 19 a couple of years ago here, and the thing was just a complete and utter screamer. I mean, it just was a screaming engine. So that'll be fun when I get around to doing that. So the next thing is these two engines. And I'm talking fast because I'm trying desperately to make these engine talk videos a little bit shorter if possible, but I usually have a lot to say. So this is an engine that was featured, or not featured, but shown in a video recently, an engine talk video. This is a gift from my friend Florida Floyd, and I talked a little bit about, or I told everything I knew about this engine at that time, and that this is an engine that's over 30 years old. He got it many years ago, flew it in the mid to late 90s, maybe mid 90s, crashed it, and that's why it didn't come with an exhaust or a header or anything. And he took it off that plane, and it has not done anything since that day. So many years ago. Now this engine does rotate through. It rotates through if you were strong enough to. Jeez, I'm not even going to attempt that. The throttle is locked up on it, which is no big deal. That's pretty common. But overall, this is a pretty decent looking engine. I mean, doesn't have any damage from the crash or anything like that. So the kicker was that he didn't have an exhaust, and it didn't come with a header. So I went on a search, and I was searching for several weeks, trying to find an exhaust for a YS45FS, which is what this is, YS45FS. To my recollection, these engines were discontinued maybe in the early 2000s, if not even late 90s. So this is really a relic. Now, that's not to say that they're rare, because if you go and do a search on eBay for YS45FS, you'll probably come up with at least 4 or 5 hits. The ones I saw are brand new, some are used, and of course they're asking astronomical money for just a 45 size engine, even though it is a YS. But, so in my search for an exhaust, which I did find eventually, and this is a actual YS exhaust for this engine. It's a story that is kind of painful for me to tell because it wasn't super cool, but I found on eBay these 2 items. This was attached to this engine, and it was on the front end of a plane that had been destroyed, and it was being sold by someone who really wasn't into the hobby, and he was asking a buttload of money for a crashed, damaged engine, and I managed to get the price down by less than 50%. So I paid a lot of money for this exhaust, this muffler, because then this muffler came with a broken front end of an airplane, some trashed servos, a couple of push rods, and this engine. Now, this engine has definitely seen its better days. So here's the funny thing with this engine, is that this crankcase on the surface is more clean than this. I'm not going to say it looks any better because there are some scuffs and stuff on it, but it's cleaner looking than that, but it's also damaged. I mean, this head is just toast. I mean, it's not, it could operate, but I mean, this head is just in really, really poor condition. So if you look at this nut, I went out and got new nuts for this today, and I'm going to talk about that also. This one doesn't turn over at all. Nothing moves on this engine. In fact, it's just, who knows? So as far as I'm concerned, I've got an engine that, well, between the 2 of these, I can guarantee you that I'll be able to get an engine, a good engine that operates properly and looks nice. So this morning, I went out to eBay and had already sourced from Bobby Brooks on eBay replacement gaskets. I think I even got a head shim, maybe. I don't know if I bought the head shim or not. Maybe I figured I've got 2 here, so one will be good anyway, if not both. New gasket set for the rear cover, new plunger for the fuel regulator, and a new diaphragm. So I've got all the gaskets, and I think I even bought a... Well, that's the first time I've ever done that. I think I even bought an O-ring that was available for the high-speed needle or the carb. Boy, that's just, if you look at it, that looks like that's just kind of corroded up. I'm going to have to throw some oil on that and see if I can get that to free up, or just, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this engine. I mean, they're both going to get disassembled completely, without a doubt. How I go about it, I'm not certain. This one I might just go and just drop in my vat of Marvel Mystery Oil as soon as I'm done with this, and just let it sit in there for a few days, and just, let oil go in wherever it might go in, which is probably not going to be too many places since this throttle is closed. The piston is up here, so it can't really get in there. I did break these head screws loose just because they were looking rather scary to me. Let's see if I can pull this glow plug out of here. That might shed a little bit of light on things. Let me see if I can just... So I see some pretty good carbon on the top of this piston. Oh, this throttle is maybe open a little bit. I think you might be able to see that. Open a little bit. I'm pretty sure that glow plug is trashed, but anyway. So that's the thing here, is I got this. So this came with this threaded coupler, which obviously is used for a spinner. And then it had, actually I swapped prop washers between these two engines, because this one came with what looked like a proper YS prop washer. This one came with one that actually looked like it's from a Fox engine. So I put that one on here, but this, I wanted real nuts. Well, better nuts, not necessarily the aircraft nut, but so I was at the hardware store and I found these, and the thing that's so interesting about this is it's a 45 size engine. 45, okay? Granted, it's a YS, but I mean, this connecting rod is huge. This thing takes an M8 by 1.25 nut. That's the same nut, same thread size is on a Sato 120, a 220, big engines, big engines. And I was like, wow, that's really, so I mean, there's a lot of heft here, and did they over design this engine? I don't know, I mean, maybe, but darn, that's a huge crankshaft, or at least the threaded portion, for a 40 size engine. I mean, most 40 size engine, I'm gonna leave that out because this is going in the vat. Most 40 size engines you see, you know, quarter 28, maybe. Certainly don't even see 5/16 crankshafts on 40 size engines. So anyway, that's kind of wraps this up. I'm just hoping that this exhaust cleans up pretty well, and I've been wanting to just go ahead and throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner to see, but I was waiting for this video to make this video so I can kind of do a comparison. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with these. So I ordered gaskets today. They're probably not going to be here for another week. Probably won't get started on this engine for a while, and now that I've actually run an engine today, it's going to be one of those things where if the weather is going to be conducive to me running engines, there's probably going to be fewer tabletop videos, which, you know, in a way I'm kind of sad about that, because one thing that's really pain in the butt is this camera and the tripod. Because I use this camera, I take it outside, and I've got this tripod set really tall, it's at its max height, and because this camera is on a swiveling base, it's difficult to put it in here and get it so that it lines up all good like it is now. So I have to take this thing down all the time. The other handheld camcorder that I do the headshots with just doesn't have a good microphone, and if it's windy outside, I mean, I can shoot video with it. I've shot airplane or engine run videos with it, but the microphone, if it's windy at all, it gets overloaded really quick and the sound suffers. So taking this camera setup down all the time and having to reposition that thing just plain sucks. So in a way, that kind of sucks. But anyway, so first day of running an engine. I did several things new for the first time. I used a brand new high-powered or high-torque Dyna starter that my buddy Garrett had given to me. So my 12-volt battery was already charged up. It's charged up. It spun. That Dyna start thing will spin over probably a truck engine, which is cool. So thank you, Garrett, for that. Thank you, Wayne, for the. He sent me from Australia. He sent me a nice big 5 or 6 cell in parallel 1300 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride pack with attachments for glow plugs. And I've got that discharging and charging again right now, so it's ready to go for tomorrow. And so that worked flawlessly. It's got a nice long cord on it, just wonderful. So Wayne, thank you very much for that. Garrett, thank you very much for the starter. Floyd, thank you very much for the YS engine. Jeremy, thank you very much for the donation of this Enya 19X engine to the channel. And thank you all for watching.